Showman, bandleader, legend, and pioneer. Let's learn about the legendary Cab Calloway, aka the Heidi Ho Man. Calloway was born in Rochester, New York on Christmas Day in 1907. His mother, Martha Reed, was a Morgan State College graduate, teacher, and church organist. His father, Cab Calloway Jr., graduated from Lincoln University of Pennsylvania in 1898 and worked as a lawyer in real estate. The family moved to Baltimore, Maryland when Calloway was 11. Calloway grew up in the West Baltimore neighborhood of Druid Hill. He began private voice lessons in 1922 and studied music and voice throughout his formal schooling. Despite his parents' and teachers' disapproval of jazz, he began performing in nightclubs in Baltimore. His mentors included drummer Chick Webb and pianist Johnny Jones. Calloway attended Frederick Douglass High School and played basketball at the guard position for the high school and professional Baltimore Athenians team. He graduated in 1925. After graduation, Calloway joined his older sister Blanche in a tour of popular black musical revue, Plantation Days. Blanche Calloway became an accomplished bandleader before her brother, and you often credit her as inspiration for entering show business. Do you hear that? This is why Cab was called the Heidi Ho Man. The call and response with the audience. Let's take a listen. Cab's parents wanted him to be a lawyer, like his father, so he enrolled at Crane College in Chicago, but he was more interested in singing and entertaining. He spent most of his nights at the Dreamland Ballroom, the Sunset Cafe, and the Club Berlin, performing as a singer, drummer, and master of ceremonies. At the Sunset Cafe, he was an understudy for singer Adelaide Hall. Here he met and performed with Louis Armstrong, who taught him to sing in the scat style. He left the school to sing with the Alabamians Band. He also performed at Baltimore's Old Royal Theater. In 1930, Calloway led the band the Missourians, which became known as Cab Calloway and his orchestra. At the Cotton Club in Harlem, New York, the band was hired in 1931 to substitute for the Duke Ellington Orchestra while it was touring. The band's popularity led to the sharing of the role of house band with Ellington. The band performed twice a week for radio broadcasts on NBC. Calloway appeared on radio programs with Walter Winchell and Bing Crosby, and was the first African American to have a nationally syndicated radio show. In 1931, Calloway recorded his most famous song, Minnie the Moocher. It is the first single song by an African American to sell 1 million records. The Old Men of the Mountain, St. Jude's Infirmary Blues, and Minnie the Moocher were performed in the cartoons The Old Man of the Mountain in 1933, Snow White in 1933, and Minnie the Moocher in 1932, respectively. Through rotoscoping, Calloway performed voiceover for these cartoons, but his dance steps were the basis of the characters' movements. He scheduled concerts in some communities and coincided with the release of the films to take advantage of the publicity. As a result of the success of Minnie the Moocher, Calloway became identified with this chorus, gaining the nickname the Heidi Ho Man. He performed in the 1930s in a series of short films for Paramount. Calloway's and Ellington's groups were featured on film more than any other jazz orchestras of the era. In these films, Calloway can be seen performing a gliding backstep dance move, which some observers have described as the precursor to Michael Jackson's moonwalk. Calloway said 50 years later it was called the buzz back then. The 1933 film International Houses featured Calloway performing his classic song, Reefer Man, a tune about a man who favors marijuana cigarettes. Calloway made his first proper Hollywood movie appearance opposite Al Jolson in The Singing Kid in 1936. He sang several duets with Jolson, and the film included Calloway's band and cast of 22 Cotton Club dancers from New York. According to film critic Arthur Knight, the creators of the film intended to erase and celebrate boundaries and differences, including most emphatically the color line. When Calloway began singing in his characteristic style, in which the words are tools for exploring rhythm and stretching melody, it becomes clear that the American culture is changing around Jolson and through Calloway. Cab Calloway was a legend, a pioneer, and a dynamic showman. Let's look at one of his most famous performances with the Nicholas Brothers called Jumpin' Jive.
Let me dig this jive once more, boy. Right on down to the kid. Oh, boy. Now can't you hear those hep cats call? Come on, boys, let's have a ball. The jim jam jump it, the jumping jive makes you dig your jive on the mellow side. Hep hep. Hip hip. The jim jam jump is a silent jive, makes you 9 foot tall when you're 4'5". Hep hep. Hip hip. Now don't you be that icaroo, get hip, come on, and then you follow through. You get your study full, you make up the joint and jump like the gators do. Jim Jam jumping, the jumping jive makes you like your eggs on the Jersey side. Hip hip, hip hip, the Jim Jam jumping jive makes you hep hep on the Mahala side. Boodly 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 fiddly bumpity goodly giddly bang 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 da da. Now I've told you about the jumping jive. Jim Jam jump the jumping jive. You got to dig this mellow jive. Yes, yes, you dig it on the mellow side. A boodly 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 boy. A boodly boodly boy. A fiddly fiddly gay. Boodly giddly bumpity gaga. Yippee gotta back. A boodly jive boy. Going to ga gang to bomb bomb a seedle that the board. all. The Jim Jam jumping, the jumping jive makes you dig your jive on the mellow side. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. The Jim Jam jump is a solid jive, makes you 9 foot tall when you're 4'5". Hip, hip. Hip, hip.